Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining to Happy Science Sunday Seminar. Today, our topic or the theme of the seminar is the second genesis of mankind will now begin. The second genesis. In the last seminar, a week before last week, I talked about the golden age to 2030. I said our God, or more precisely, the Supreme God of the earth, has a plan to realize golden age in 2030. But to say the truth, I hit something. I'm sorry, I hit something. I talked about the bright future will be waiting for us, okay? But to say the truth, the golden age 2030 means we are experiencing the second genesis of humankind. Second genesis. It may mean we may experience many difficulties before actually we realize golden age. Okay? So this is Masaru Hokawa, the founder of Happy Science, and he has declared that now is the time for the second genesis. I hope you can read this. I will re-quote this again later, but 1990, okay? 30 years ago, 3 decades ago, okay? A long, long time ago. Masaru Okawa made a speech, The Rebirth of Buddha, in Tokyo, okay? I was there. More than 8,000 people came to the venue. That was only 3 years after Happy Science was established, okay? And in that seminar, Masaru Hokawa said, okay, this is the words of God. From now, everything will end and everything will begin. You will witness the new Genesis with your own eyes. The second Genesis of mankind will now begin. You may learn or guess about the Genesis in the past from the various myths that have been passed down from generation to generation. However, I tell you now is the time for the second Genesis, okay? Now is the time for the second Genesis. So I would like to talk about these 7 points today, okay? First, why I became a Happy Science follower, my personal story, and second, grand history of humankind, okay? And third, the current state of the earth is like cheese covered with mold. You will understand what that exactly means, okay? The great mission of Happy Science. And fifth, you will be tested as to whether you have a true faith or not. Okay? You understand what exactly means later. Number 6, the second Genesis. Okay? We will learn again the direct words from God, okay, about the second Genesis, what we are supposed to do, what we are expected to do, and we ought to do if you do not want to degenerate into animals. Okay. So lastly, we are seeing the shadow of the eternal, means the shadow of God himself. Okay. So let me start. The first, why I became a happy science follower. Yes.
Why?
Why? Yeah. Okay. This is me. I used to work as a cancer researcher for the Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, Manhattan, New York. Okay. I was happily living, enjoying New York like Manhattan life with my kid and with my wife. But I had the calling. Although I and my wife did not recognize that was the calling, but since I was totally materialistic, I was totally, addicted, attachment to the worldly thing. Okay, so I was not able to receive any revelation from heavenly world. But my wife was relatively pure compared to me. So he received some message. Okay, and the message was very simple. He told me. She said to me, "Hi, honey, I just want to go back to Japan." Yeah, I said, "Wait a minute. We moved in this country for good, I have a job here. I don't have a job in Japan. So wait a minute." So I just ignored her. Okay. But 3 months later, she rephrased the same phrase again. Okay. I just want to go back to Japan. I just want to go back home. But so it is strange. Okay. First time I ignored, totally ignored. No way. But second time when she said, I couldn't refuse for some reason. Then I said, okay, then I gotta find a job in Japan. So I went to my, visited a friend of mine living in New Jersey next to New York. Yeah. And I complained a lot. Okay, my wife, was so selfish, I can't take her anymore. Then the friend of mine said to me, "Oh, you got the luck, Tsunada-san. Okay, I know someone in Boston, Harvard University, a Japanese professor, is going back to Japan to start a new laboratory in Japan. He is looking for somebody like me." Okay, so I just flew to London. Okay, from New York. That time was very good paradise. You don't have any luggage inspection. You just jump into the airplane and buckle fasten the buckle, and then show the credit card to get a ticket on the plane. Okay, and then, and then I flew to Boston and met the guy who was looking for somebody to hire, and in 5 minutes he hired me. Wow. Okay, and I got a very pretty good position in Japan. So I told to my boss, okay, who was the director of the Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, okay, director, okay, and he proposed me a very huge raise of my salary. Okay? Because I do not want to show off how I was good, but to say the truth, I had a good reputation from him, and he raised huge salary and tried to stop me going back to Japan. But I don't know the reason, but I simply said, "I'm sorry, I have to go back." Okay, so after that, I found when my wife told me such selfish thing to me, it was July 1986. Okay, do you know what happened?
Happy Science started.
Yes, I mean the Masaru Hoakawa decided to quit his job, secular job, and get ready to start Happy Science. So that was July 1986.
Yeah.
And when my wife said second time was August, 6th of August, exactly the date when Master started Happy Science, okay? Which we did not know,
Yeah.
but I just thought I had to follow
Yeah.
without reason. So I flew back to Japan and landed on Japanese ground on in someday in March 1987,
Yeah.
when Masaru Hoakawa gave the very first official seminar in Japan. I barely missed attending that seminar,
Yeah.
but I received a book written by Masaru Hoakawa, the very first edition, from my father, and I found, wow, and I became a Happy Science member. And then, yeah, that's my story. But what I wanted to convey by telling my personal story is you may have all your own stories, but I say some may say, "Oh, I just encountered a Happy Science member and given handed out some brochure of Happy Science, so I just popped it." No, that's not. That's a superficial reason. It's not a true reason why you became a Happy Science member, because you had a plan. Okay, you just remember. Okay, so everybody should have such history, that true history behind the superficial, whatever happened to you. Okay, so I just want you to recall that decent, a very true reason. Okay, so the grand history of human. Before I talk about the second Genesis, you may wonder, okay, what about the first Genesis, when it happened? So let me explain about the history of humankind on Earth. Okay. Okay. We know El Cantare is the God of the universe. Okay. And 400 million years ago, there was the first Genesis. Okay, he created human beings on Earth, on this planet. Okay, that was 400 million years ago. And then El Cantare, I will not explain detail about why he did this, but if you read the laws of the sun, it will be described. It is described more precisely. But El Cantare, after he created human beings on Earth, he invited immigrants from the outer space. Okay, and I will explain later about why this happened. That was, and then after this first immigration, 300 million years ago, part of El Cantare was on Earth, okay, as Alpha. And then 270 million years ago, there was a second large, huge immigration to this planet. And Elohim, the second time at the El Cantare, appeared before human being as Alpha, and 150 million years ago, he appeared again as Elohim. Okay, this name is appeared in the Old Testament or the Middle East religions. You may find his name. Okay, so Alpha gave teachings to humanity, the original earthlings, and to the immigrant, how to reconcile, how to make harmony to each other. He taught the teachings, but after accepting large immigrant, Elohim appeared as before us and to preach about how to deal with the diversity. Okay? There are many different kinds of human beings. So we Elohim want to integrate all people to create harmony. So he preached teachings. Okay, and then nowadays, Ryuho Okawa, the core consciousness of Earth Kantare, descends on Earth and started up science. Okay. Right. This is the grand history of human being. So the first genesis took place here, and now El Cantare has the intention to do the second genesis. Okay, this book, The Laws of Alpha, I think there is a provisional translation published, provisional book has been released, but I'm not sure. But so this was written in Japanese, so I tentatively translate. Okay, what is written in this book is a plan was made to let the Earthlings have new experience. As I showed, the first Genesis took place on this planet, and God, El Cantare, want the Earthlings, originally created Earthlings, to experience new things as a leader. So the El Cantare invited immigrants from other planets. So in order to study a possible new civilization experiment on Earth, El Cantare, Alpha, okay, I invited humanoid space beings capable for living on Earth from other planets. I invited space aliens who met the requirements to adapt to the environment of the Earth. Okay, so he selected the suitable humanoid Earthlings suitable to adjust this environment of the Earth. So it was a dangerous era when he decided to accept immigrant, as dinosaurs and other creatures were living. Therefore, it was necessary to invite such aliens that were highly resistant. Then Alpha chose the humanoid species from the Magellanic Clouds with the intention of making the Earthlings stouter for survival. Okay, we are sort of the Earthlings are sort of mild in nature, but not that aggressive to fight against the dinosaurs. So Alpha wanted to invite such stout beings. Okay, and he also says in this book, I had an intention of creating harmony based upon the new terrestrial teachings under the culture that had been raised on Earth. Okay, so El Cantare created human being on Earth and let the human beings create a civilization. But Alpha decided to, El Cantare decided to invite Earthlings from other planet, and then he preached, gave the new teaching, okay, to realize the harmony between them. So, however, they became incompatible with each other in many situations due to differences in their origin. Okay? Kind of sounded we had a yeah. So reptilians. This is the name of the aliens Alpha invited from Magellanic Clouds. Reptilians did not necessarily fit to Earthlings' human nature that Alpha had originally designed. Although I acknowledge reptilians' character as a possible one, they had a tendency to disrupt harmony, which have caused wars and crushed civilization several times in the history of humankind. Okay, so in order to protect Earthlings from the dinosaurs or some, enemies, then El Cantare invited those people who are capable to fight against those dinosaurs, but because of their own character, many wars evoked. Okay, so simply put, human of reptilian origin believe that it is natural for the strong to defeat the weak, because this is their philosophy, and therefore they were so strong. So, but such thinking seems to have been causing wars on Earth. Okay? So this is sort of a headache of El Cantare. So that was a grand overview of our human history on Earth, okay? And the current state of the Earth is like cheese covered with mold. So on the surface of this planet, the molds are growing, covering. And if it's reached to the limit, that could be accepted by the consciousness of Earth, our civilization will collapse. Okay, so this is translated in English. So I encourage you to read this book very carefully. The Love with the Sun. In the Love with the Sun. The title of the book is In the Love with the Sun. Sometimes the God of creation and the God of destruction appeared in history. Back then, namely the age of Elohim, was an era when it could happen that those who had no faith, meaning those who have never listened to the voice of God, were punished and annihilated because of this power of this destruction. It was a period of not being able to restrain the confusion created by space people and their human accomplices without weeding out those who had no faith and without establishing the faith at the same time. Something very similar is happening in the modern age as well. Okay, this is the reason I want to put the stress. The second Genesis is taking place now because of this. We have experienced a similar thing in that 150 million years ago. Okay, so currently there are a number of secret interventions by extraterrestrials while observing and monitoring us human. Okay, there is also in the air the possibility of a hegemonic war breaking out on Earth, namely between China and the United States. Okay, atheism and materialism are infecting Earth like a malignant virus. Okay, we are looking at or scared by the coronavirus, but what we most should scared of is this malignant virus. Okay, the mental one. Looking at this state with a spiritual eye from the universe, the current state of Earth is like cheese covered with mold. The modern age holds a sense of crisis in that we must do something to remove the mold on the surface of the cheese. Okay, so we are living on the Earth. So from the spiritual eyes about the Earth is looks like this. Okay, the molds are covering the surface of the planet, and Alcantara is holding, okay, the Earth. So you may see the locust pandemic quite soon. Okay, in Africa, in India, could be in China. Okay, you may see the news on the TV. Okay, according to Happy Science Spiritual Survey, we have already checked that God Shiva, okay, and Zulu. Zulu is the sort of one of the destructive god taking care of African area. But he has another name, the god of locust. Okay. Anyhow, these two gods clearly send a message through Happy Science that they will do something. Okay? Because in order to protect the Earth, if the mold totally cover the surface of planet, this planet will just die. Then after, nobody can survive. Okay, so the gods are working on that. Okay, and space people, also the good space people and bad space people, are contributing this situation. Okay, these guys want to grow the mold so that they can harvest human beings as their food to take over this planet for their own. But the good space aliens try to protect the Earth from them. Okay, so this is happening. Okay, this is happening. So this is not God's intention. Okay, God has given us the 100% freedom of thinking. Okay, so after the first Genesis, okay, the human beings have accumulated negative thoughts, and it's piled up and reaches to the limit that the Earth can accept. So it's a time. Okay, this is the situation we are facing on Earth. Okay, so if we repent and release the negative thoughts, then we can save the Earth. Namely, we can save us, and we can continue our civilization. But if we do not, we need to revolution. We need to do some revolution. Okay, this is the God's plan. So the great mission of Happy Science is like this. This is the speech of Master Ryuho Okawa. I am in the process of bringing order into the chaos. I will cast light on what actually lies on the basis of world religions, and finally eliminate the roots of the conflict that has been ravaging the world. Before even getting to nuclear weapons, I will do away with all these misconceptions and bridge the gap between religions once and for all. This is the great mission of Happy Science. Okay. This is a reason I quit my job in Manhattan, and I came back to Japan, and I encountered Happy Science and became a Happy Science member, and became a Happy Science staff member, and transferred to this, place, London Temple, and met you guys. Okay, and I repeat the same reason you guys have. Okay, we all have the great mission of Happy Science. Okay, so we will be tested as to whether you have a true faith or not. Okay? You may say, oh yes, I believe in El Cantare, or I believe in God. So what? Yeah, it matters a lot. Whether you have true faith or you truly understand that you are believing God or not, you just think you are believing. Okay, this is the very critical question you to ask yourself.
You have to know why you believe it. You have to know why you believe it.
Not why, whether you are believing or not. Okay? This will create a huge difference. Okay? So please listen to Master Ryuho Okawa. Okay? He speaks with the consciousness of Shakyamuni Buddha in India. Okay? And he will talk about the importance of true faith. True faith. Okay?
Yeah. 信仰っていうのはね、会員登録しただけで、たったとは言えないんですよ。信仰っていうのはね、機外にお金を払ってやっただけで証明されたものでもないんですよ。信仰のレベルに差があるんですよ。だから、本当の信仰を持っているかどうかが試されることになると思います。だから、エル・カンターレが本当に地球神なのか、本当に資源の神なのか、本当に長い人類を指導してきた方なのか、これを信じきれるかというところまで問われると思うんです。もしこの地球人類を作るにあたって責任を持つ立場で人類を指導してきた方であると思うならば、そんなコウモリからできた毒性ウイルスぐらいで、そのエルカンターレの力が負けるわけがないんですよ。それが信じられないで、コウモリの毒素の方を信じる人たちが、それは弱い方々であるけれども、そういうコウモリの毒の方がエルカンターレへの力より強いと思っているような人まで守らなければならないほど弱い宗教ではないんだということですね。だから、この原生医薬はとっくに飛び越えなければいけないんで、創世記の神っていうのはそれだけの強さを持っているんだということを知らなければならないんですよ。
So, sorry, I cannot, fall down because it was taken.
信仰っていうのはね、
Okay, so let me explain. Some of you may have not been able to follow quite clearly. The important part, he said, you will be tested as to whether you have a true faith. You truly believe, whether you truly believe that El Cantar is really the God of the earth. In other words, the primordial God who was responsible for creating humankind on earth and has guided humankind from time immemorial. Okay? So he also said, happy science is not a weak religion. I just rewrote the English a little bit so that you could better understand. Happy science is not a weak religion that compromises with protecting those who believe a bad-born virus is stronger than El Cantare. In other words, those who don't believe El Cantare as the primordial God. Okay? So I want you to ask me, not Nado, why Master Ryu Howoka or El Cantare said this. Okay? El Cantare must be a God of mercy. He must have the huge tolerance to accept everybody. Why he says, sort of in some sense, you may misunderstand that he is actually discriminating people. But I will ask you, El Cantare, God of the earth, has a plan to do second Genesis, okay, to create the new beautiful world on earth with the people who simply, purely, beautifully believe in the true God. Okay? So here's my question. Okay? One thing happened in the past, about 1 million to 120 million years ago, when Lucifer went downhill and became Satan or devil. Okay. He was also a human, angel. Okay. He still has a Buddha nature or divine nature. Okay. The chunk of light of El Cantare within deep within him. So he is human. But do you call him? He has been revolting against God for 120 million years. Do you willing to call him a human? Probably not. Okay, we know who learned happy science teaching. We all know that even Satan or even devil has a chunk of light of El Cantare. So nobody can take that God's light away from anybody. But depending on the behavior, depending on how they believe and do not believe in their Father, we should not call them human, or we should call those people who believe in God is human. So please do not misunderstand this saying as if we are happy scientists discriminating people, but we do not want to increase the number of people who try to destroy this planet. Okay, regardless knowing or not knowing. Okay, so this is the fundamental judgment to tell what is wrong, what is right. So we cannot accept no longer the evil thought because we are hitting the limit.
Yeah.
Therefore, Del Cantare has a plan to evoke the second Genesis. Okay, the second Genesis. Okay, so let me explain what Master Ryu Hooka, in other words, what El Cantare himself spoke in 1990, only 3 years after Happy Science was established. Okay? He said, the moral ideas of mankind that you studied in the past have been bequeathed in the history of only 3,000 or 4,000 years. Not only during these times, but even before these ideas existed since time immemorial, my will, God's will, my will has created the teaching of truth for your spiritual training and has been guiding the existence of mankind under the teaching of truth. You get? Okay? Is it clear? So for the past billions of years, I have been watching. Until now, thousands of millions of civilizations were created and destroyed on Earth. During all these years, I was the one who has been watching without descending to Earth. I have founded the basis of all ideas and all the spiritual values that mankind believed in. Okay? Based on that basis of spiritual values, a great variety of religious leaders and thinkers were born into this world and embodied my ideas through various individual expressions. I would like to ascertain before you the fact that these have been developed based on the directions set from the start, since the very beginning of mankind, since time immemorial, and declare that the new civilization originating from my words in contemporary Japan will decide the fate of humankind after 21st century. So he has already he declared 3 years after he has established Happy Science, this important message, Everything has a beginning and an end. The past civilization is coming to an end. I have appeared to close the door to the past civilization of mankind. Wow. And to open the new door to a new age. Yeah, this is why he closed the door. The fact that I am here indicate the intention of God that the religions, ideas, and beliefs in the past can be vanished and buried deep down the sea. Okay? El Cantare clearly said he does not care, although he had created many things. Okay? But in order to make human beings better, he had to decide this. Okay? From now, everything will end and everything will begin. You will witness the new Genesis with your own eyes. The second Genesis of mankind will now begin. You may learn or guess about the Genesis in the past from the various myths that have been passed down from generation to generation. However, I tell you, now is the time for the second Genesis. So, I had the goosebump, when I was at the venue, and I realized, okay, that was the reason I had to jump back to Japan, you know. So anyhow, people in future will learn that the history of mankind begins at the end of 1900s in what we call AD. Everything that happened before now will probably vanish from the memories of human beings and will become the things that happened in the age of the God, the world before human beings started living on earth. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to survive as human, or you want to fade away behind the veil of the history? This is exactly what you are asked to answer. Okay? In the future world, the present day is the beginning of the times when human beings started living on Earth and created civilization. This is a start. Congratulations, you're at the start. Catastrophic events will happen. You are what we are witnessing now. The times are near when it seems as if the majority of the civilization would vanish. Okay? So, I do not want to be evil fortune teller, even forecast. What's the word? I forgot. Yeah, the prophets. Yeah, evil prophets.
Yeah.
I don't want to be called evil prophet, but since I am able to provide you the beautiful path to get through this confusion, to reach to the new Genesis civilization, where people enjoy totally happiness, peace, freedom, prosperity. Okay? So I'm not the evil prophet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are seeing the same shadow of the eternal. So I am now asking you, your faith is perfect enough for you to survive as human being, or you want to be degenerated into something else? Yeah. So this I want you to listen to Masayuho Oka. In this video is spoken in English, so please listen. Okay.
You might ask, who is the Lord? And the answer is Alcantara. Although I'm not able to show Alcantara to you now, you have the extraordinarily rare chance, extremely uncommon throughout history, where, through me, you can see the spirit of Alcantara and even touch Alcantara. But under normal circumstances, Alcantara's imperceptible existence outside of the imagination. By this, I meant that when I go to the other world, I no longer have arms and legs and a face, but I am really just light. In Buddhist terms, for example, the Mahavajrayana is the symbol of truth. Amitabha represents infinite divine light and merciful salvation. Shakyamuni represents the historical Buddha, Gautama Siddhartha. But they're all one and the same. What was there in the beginning? There was only divine light, the source of infinite light. It was the very source of the light of this earth's spiritual sun. It's the origin of the power that directs the terrestrial spirit group. This light is what is known as Alcantara, that has no tangible form. For that reason, this moment when you can see the image of Alcantara is like a brief fleeting moment in the course of history. It's really like looking out the window of a bullet train at a poster on a utility pole as you fly by. In terms of the course of history, You're only able to see me for this kind of quick, brief flash. So this 1 hour talk is, historically speaking, really but a brief moment. Please think of it as a tiny little spark, an instant that flashes and then just as quickly goes out. All of you must take hold of something eternal in this brief moment and tuck it away deep in your hearts. You might ask,
Okay, that seminar you can learn repeatedly in this book. Okay, so what you heard and what you saw as the subtitle has been a little bit modified in this final book edition. So in this book it said, all of you must see the shadow of the eternal that is just in this belief moment. Take a hold of it and keep it deep in your heart. Okay, you are looking at Master Ryuho Okawa, and some of people may see him as a human being or something, but Master said, okay, he is a huge light. Okay, and what you see through Master Ryuho Okawa, it's just a shadow of El Cantare. So you are looking at the shadow, okay? So sometimes people ask me, is Master Ryuho Okawa El Cantare? Or something like that. So I explain in answering to the question, okay, if you point out this shadow, okay, and ask, are you El Cantare? Then El Cantare would reply you, yes, I am. But if you ask El Cantare, are you shadow? No, I'm not. Okay. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. So please do not misunderstand. We are only looking at the shadow. Okay. And so I showed this slide in the previous seminar when I talked about the golden age will begin in 2030. Okay. But to say the truth, the earth is now really sick. Okay. We have to save the planet. Saving the planet is equal to saving our soul. Okay. So we cannot separate each other. So because the earth is very sick, okay, being covered by the mold, so we need to eliminate, and the El Cantare made a plan to revitalize the earth. So you can call it the second Genesis, or you could call it the realization of the golden age, whichever you may like. But what is now, we have to deliver, and it creates some pains. Okay.
Yeah.
But after delivering the baby, you'll be happy. Okay. So the world we are living now, or the civilization we are living in now, and the civilization after second Genesis is discrete, not continuous. Okay. So you have to believe this white hand. Otherwise, you cannot cross over this. Okay. So even El Cantare, therefore the disciple of him, I myself, cannot force anybody to, to go across this side, but only we can say is, okay, now God is, taking the second Genesis to happen, okay? So if you understand, if you can believe, please go across, go over.
Yeah.
But if you, okay, this guy took out his mask, okay? I will not afraid of coronavirus because I believe in El Cantare, who has the mightier power than coronavirus. Or if you just go back, okay, I don't want to get infected. Yeah, I trust NHS than El Cantare. Those people are allowed to survive even after second Genesis, but we will not call them a human. Okay? Because Satan or the devil revolted El Cantare for 120 millions. Okay? Do we want to call him a human? No, we are not supposed to call. Okay? But we have been waiting for him to repent and come back to, live as human being. Okay? So these guy also can hold their life, but I'm sorry to say this because I have a poor English vocabulary, so I may sound something not nice, but if you do not want to degenerate into animal, follow me. This is what I want to say, okay? So we are not discriminating people, but we are showing what is going on now. It's a very crisis. But it's not a punishment. All we have created this result. So all we have to do is just make a repentance and follow the words or the guidance of God. It's simple. Nobody would get hurt. Yeah? But El Cantare has made a firm decision that he would not allow to grow further. Okay? So, mold.
You mean the Cantare himself?
The surface of the earth is covered with mold, okay, which may cause a death of the planet. A death of planet automatically means a death of humanity. Okay, so we want to get rid of mold from the surface or from the mind of human being. So this is the movement of happy science. Okay, so this person, a lady named Kamita, she showed the pure faith in El Cantare, in the middle time of the Corona fast. She wanted to make a prayer in the church next to Happy Science Temple, but the church was closed. She popped in Happy Science Temple and met El Cantare, and she accepted. This is the true faith. Okay? So those people are surely be able to survive as human being. Okay? Congratulations. So there are many. We need to invite to Happy Science faith. Okay? So one more thing I forgot to tell. Okay. Now, when I visited the Anglican church next to our Happy Science Temple, and the bishop or the highest priest of that church welcomed us, and he explained about the teaching of Anglican, and he mentioned that many people misunderstand that Jesus said, "I am the only way," which causes the discrimination, confusion and exclusive attitude. So the top priest of Anglican next to our temple said, "I don't think so. Jesus said, I am the way." Okay? Right. So therefore, the Anglican Church bishop are accepting Happy Science teachings also. Okay, so I thought that was good, but let me explain in another way. Okay, even though Jesus said, "I am the only way," it's not. There's no problem. Okay, it's okay because Jesus was always listening to El Cantar's, the Father's voice, and just transduce the words. So whatever he says is the Father's words. So what if Jesus said, "I am the only way," it means El Cantar is the only way. Yes, it is true. Okay, right? So don't be bothered by the tiny, explanation made by or lower level of understanding of people. Okay, so I am the only way. Yes, El Cantar is the only way. Without accepting this, you can survive as an animal. I'm sorry, because of my poor English vocabulary. So, okay, this is very important. If you don't want to be a devotee member, probably you are in the middle, somewhere in between the true faith in El Cantare and somewhere you think that you believe in El Cantare, but I understand clearly that that person is just thinking that they are believing, but they understand. No, I'm sorry. They claim that they believe only what they understand. Okay, so it's different from believing. So this is very important. Okay, so Satan or the devil always claiming that. Okay, I do not believe in God. You are saying the same thing as Satan is saying. Therefore, I'm sorry again. I do not want to call you a human. Okay, it's a Satan, devil. But in any case, you still have a chunk of light of El Cantare deep inside of you. Okay, so you can anytime be recovered, restore your decentness as the child of God and become human. Okay, so don't worry, but having faith and show your faith into action is very, very important. So at the conclusion, I would like to present this new music tune composed by Master Ryu Okawa. It has a power to numb the power of coronavirus. Okay? And I was pretty much amazed that this was composed by Master Ryu Okawa. And yeah, you know that. Okay? So please listen to this tune and get energy from the music. And I hope you could deepen your faith, true faith in El Cantare. Okay? So, please get the CD through Amazon. Okay. I have to say many times, I'm not the evil
Messenger.
messenger.
Yeah.
Yes, but I have to say what we are experiencing now with coronavirus, and we may see some hot war between China and United States also. Japan may be included. I don't know. But and the huge economic recession we may experience. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have faith in Alcantara, so it's okay. But if the majority of people just deny Happy Science message and try to solve the problems using the materialistic means, or using, say, vaccination or some economical, intellectual, wisdom to solve the problem, it's not going to work, because God has a clear intention why He allows this happens, only because majority of people have forget about the faith in Alcantara. So without restoring that faith as the foundation of human being, this planet cannot survive. Okay, so the coronavirus, the economical recession, and hot war, it's so subtle. The major and fatal thing is whether you as human being can accept, listen to God's word, or ignore. Okay? Therefore, we have told from many spiritual beings, and even space aliens who guards this planet, until the majority of people start to repent. Okay, we made huge mistake. Okay, and medicine is important, and economics is important, but the most important thing is the faith in El Cantare. Okay, and then until we attain that faith, this will last. This is what we heard from the heavenly message. Okay, so therefore we need to work harder to spread this teaching. Okay, so I really appreciate that you joined today, and I hope we will put our strength together and deepen our faith every day and create or to see the beautiful future 2030. Okay, I will see you then as a human being. Okay, you promised that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much for listening today's seminar through YouTube, and I really appreciate that all of you start today, from today, join Happy Science, and we are a non-profit organization, but we seek for the true profit of human beings. Okay, so please join and get the message of El Cantare, or your God. Thank you very much.
Bye.